Hi,
Hi.
I'm Andre,
And I am Allie.
and this is the Love is Blind
the Love is
podcast.
Blind podcast, here for a debrief on episode 3 of season 6.
Episode 3, Operation Get My Girl Back.
Get my girl back. And I should say, we have a special guest joining us today, a cat apparently named Bentley.
Apparently, and we say apparently, that sounds weird because why would there be a cat whose name we don't quite know? We found a cat, and we've identified who the owner is, but they're coming to pick him up in about an hour or so. In the meantime, there's just a cat nearby. He's adorable.
Yes. But in case you hear cat sounds,
in case you hear a cat sounds,
we're just over here being local angels,
Yeah.
returning a pet to their owner. No big deal.
And in future episodes, if you hear cat sounds, that's just me.
But that seems like a good time to remind you that if you like us, then please subscribe to our podcast, give us a 5-star rating.
Follow us on Instagram, check out our Facebook group, communicate with us.
Yeah.
You know, we know that there's a handful of you out there who are listening to this. We know that at least when we dropped the previous 2 episodes, there's, a couple of dozen people listen to it. So that's pretty exciting.
And that's just starting. And now even more, now that you know that we're good people who return cats, unless you're a dog person, in which case it's a dog.
Yes. In that case,
No,
Bentley's
it's a
a dog.
cat.
You know what we haven't done over the last 2 episodes is read the Netflix description of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, we might have. But
I think we did for Ep 2.
We did for Ep 2.
But for Ep 3, it is...
One excited couple meets face to face. A contestant works through big emotions. A connection grows deeper between 2 singles who share similar beliefs. And I for the most part, I thought this episode was kind of low drama, but hey, that's we're not necessarily here for drama. We're also here for just true connections forming. So that's kind of nice,
Yeah, I actually really like it when you are just seeing people fall in love. That's one reason I like this reality show in particular, is because I don't like it when it's all drama and you don't see couples that really make it. I really want them to work out. Yeah.
And I mean, right on that note, we begin right away with Johnny and Amy seeing each other for the first time.
Soft spot Johnny.
Because
Andre loves him.
I think he's really nice. He
of course, he's lovable.
He hasn't shown me a reason not to be liked. So,
but listeners, every time that we've started it, Andre's like, I really like Johnny.
I really like Johnny.
I think you see yourself in him.
He seems kind.
He's a kind guy. It's true. And he's obviously very smitten with her, and likewise. And yeah, like, things go really, really, really well. I love this meeting.
Yeah, they seem to get along really well. And there's the statement of, I don't think I would have approached you if I'd seen you in real life if I didn't know you. So that's, hey, that's perks, props to the show, not perks, props to the show for bringing together 2 people who seem to really get along. And I can only hope that that continues,
Is love truly blind?
Is Ruv blind? I don't know. Love is blind.
In this case, it appears to be. Yeah. No, I mean, that's one of the cool things about the show, is that you get people who would not be attracted to each other. And when it works out, it is awesome. So, but yeah, I mean, not much to say about them other than I'm here for it. Like, I hope that they're a star couple, We jump over then to Laura.
Is it Laura?
Laura,
not Sarah.
Blonde.
Right. Okay.
Blonde Laura.
Blonde Laura. Kind of telling other people about her techniques of trying to pick people up in public. Which, some people are like, "Whoa, that's a lot."
Yeah. This is just the editors being like.
So you just stare people down, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's actually not a terrible technique. Just make eye contact with people.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. We're gonna hear from her more later this episode, but we haven't really gotten much Laura. I think she was kind of briefly in some previous episodes, but the editors, I think, are
They're
giving us a little bit more of a taste of Laura.
they're bringing her in.
But we don't stay there long. I mean, what do you think of her technique? She had the technique of staring people down. She had the technique of dropping something.
The dropping something I don't think would work on me, but the staring technique might work. Except normally, if I makes eye contact with somebody, I'm like, oh no, they think that I'm looking at them, so then I immediately look away forever.
Oh man, I have to say, I feel the opposite. I feel like if I were being stared at by somebody, it would be extremely off-putting, versus if I were walking and someone asked if I dropped something, I'd be more receptive to conversation. I don't know. I can be a little bit grumpy with strangers. Yeah. It might also be a gender thing.
No, probably.
You know? Yeah. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more interesting back room conversation that we see is Clay talking to, I don't think we've been introduced to him. I don't know Jamal.
Yeah.
We're seeing his name show up here. But yeah, Clay showing some emotion and kind of seeming a little bit kind of, you know, you can tell that he has feelings for AD, and he's just has been thrown off and doesn't necessarily have the emotional tools to address it and to kind of cope with it. You know, specifically the fact that she said that she has feelings for Matthew. But the honesty that he's showing here, talking about, you know, putting up a defense mechanism of just kind of like putting up a facade, and I was like kind of impressed by it. Not only the fact that he has this awareness of it, but that he's talking openly to somebody about it. So it's really nice to see. It was genuinely like a really touching moment to see that he recognizes there are things that he needs to work on, and that, you know, this is it seems like a little bit of like a, I wouldn't say a wake-up call, but just a moment of that he probably is going to have to deal with moving forward, you know, like something that he is maybe unlocking here. The fact that AD is asking for a little bit more vulnerability, and he is feeling some vulnerability, you know.
And that he just had such a strong reaction to Matthew being the other, being that there was another guy was, I think, what the reaction to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of things. I think, first of all, I think I called it when I said that's what was up for him, was that there was a lot of bravado.
You definitely did.
I think there's a thought for me of like, well, why haven't you been to therapy? He mentions it again. And you know, there's a lot of access issues when it comes to therapy. So who knows what the story is, but if it's accessible, it sounds like he should go. So, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's tough to be a dude at all, because you have to have so much, like, your emotions have to be so constrained in such a narrow window. I think that is even more powerful when there's a racial component to it.
Yeah,
And
black men certainly have an aspect of masculinity that's kind of well documented, that it makes it a little bit harder for them to be vulnerable, because it is
to show emotion.
Yeah, because it is seen as sort of like a strike against their masculinity. So it is really nice then, kind of like as a segue, when he meets with AD and she kind of reassures him to kind of say like, I like that. I think that's a strength of it shows masculinity, that you were able to show vulnerability, that you're able to be in touch with those emotions. And it kind of takes him by surprise. He says really, but like there's a lot of like I think that surprises him, you know? And so it is really cool to see her kind of support him on this journey. And he then takes the next step and is just kind of like, I was boohoo crying. Like, he's kind of opening up to her in a way that he hasn't been up till now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you see a genuine connection form. I mean, it does remind me, this is the Milton Lydia exchange, like from last season, where Lydia opened up about her feeling rejected and Milton was really there for her. And, AD had the opposite experience round 1, but I think that's eliciting a deeper connection now. And who knows, I'm still wary that AD is coming on the heels of feeling that pretty intense rejection from Matthew, but the show would be nothing without people deciding to get engaged in a rebound space. What would we be without this component of the show? What do you think, though? She brings back his comment about, you said you have to be attracted to me, and that was upsetting to me. I don't remember exact words, but she says something like that. What do you think of his response?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I paused on this response because it is, he says, if I'm wrong, I'll definitely admit that I'm wrong. And then does not admit that he's wrong.
Agree.
So he's like, I hear you. If I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. And then they move past it without him addressing it at all. He doesn't say he's sorry about it. He doesn't say that he's wrong. He's just kind of like, I said that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was edited out, because she seems really softened by his response.
Right.
And I don't know that she would be if he hadn't addressed that more directly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, as it's portrayed, I had a similar reaction of like, okay, I mean, yay.
Yeah, it's unclear. They definitely seem to come together at the end, and they seem to be, they're moving forward. But yeah, that moment also kind of struck me as like, what? That's okay. You didn't quite acknowledge that. I mean, you acknowledged it, but then didn't say that you were wrong about it. So it seems like in some ways it makes it seem like he's just kind of holding on to it, which,
and notably never says, "You're right. It doesn't matter."
Right. Something that's worth keeping in mind about this, the show in general, right, is that we're seeing these episodes kind of coming out little by little, but the editors have a story that they're telling from beginning,
of course,
to end of season, right? So even if there might be still some work being done on some of the episodes right now, ultimately there's a reason why we're being shown specific images, specific clips, specific cuts, which is that they're trying to tell a story. They're trying to kind of make sure that we're tracking specific things. So it's, to your point, they might have cut a line of him saying, I'm sorry, but maybe their goal here is to highlight something that may be coming down the line. That ultimately he is going to be bothered maybe by her looks or whatever. So I that's something that I from time to time remember, which is that the editors know how the story ends. Yeah. Like how these story end. They don't they're not just looking at just this episode,
It's true. I think to your point, like, it could also be a hint that this challenge he may have, being accountable and saying sorry, may factor in again later down the line. But we move from then to Kenneth and Brittany, who we hadn't seen much of them at all. I think Kenneth has one line before this, I think in support. I don't remember who he's supporting, but he is supporting somebody, maybe Clay.
I mean, we've certainly seen one of their interactions before.
Yeah.
So in the previous episode, we do see them interacting for the first time, which is when they kind of like, they mention how they're both teacher, religious and, the principal, right?
Yes, he's a principal.
and she's a teacher. And they begin their meeting straight up at "I love you." This meeting in the third episode. So, again, I wish we had a timer that shows how long they've spent together at this point.
Everybody knows we want a timer.
We want a timer, guys. Brittany brings up ethnicity right at the top, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And also they start talking about each other's looks
Right.
in general, which is also interesting.
A lot of couples are talking about looks this episode because there's also the Megan Fox comment. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
There's a little bit of like, okay, cool, I'm into you, but also I need to know more about you. And specifically how you look,
Right.
in order to make sure that I'm going to get along with you.
Yeah, more so than other seasons, I think.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that ultimately in this particular case, other than, him saying I'm black, they don't actually confirm anything else about each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like she makes a comment about how he's stout or that she has long hair, and then, it doesn't really get confirmed in any way. He kind of like jokes about how he's short, like, he's 5'4" or whatever. And she's like, well, I hope not, but, I'm going to trust in the experiment. And then, overall, it seems like they're
just on the same page.
They're
Left
certainly
and
moving
right.
forward.
Yeah, they're both religious. They both want to wait until marriage.
Yeah.
Hey, follow your bliss, man. Like what's no.
I'm just curious. Do you think they'll wait until marriage?
I do think they'll wait until marriage.
Okay.
Well, it helps that marriage is like in a day.
Sure, but I'm just wondering whether, like, once they're on their honeymoon, they're like, actually, no.
No,
You
I
think
mean,
they'll
they
stick?
both seem pretty
Okay.
religious. I mean,
Pretty
he's a
devout.
pastor, right? Doesn't he reveal that he's like
A worship
a
leader.
worship leader? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I think that is going to be what they do.
Yeah.
Again, they get married very quickly, so
Yeah, that's true.
that
They don't have
helps.
to wait that long.
yeah. I also, who knows? I mean, they might be like intimate in non-traditional sex ways.
Yes.
I don't know what our
Non-traditional
audience is.
sex
I would go into more
ways.
detail here. I don't know what our audience is. So, this is I don't know if it's a family show, but sure, it's a family show. We have Bentley here. Bentley's going to hear this.
Bentley earmuffs.
Yeah.
So we then go back to the women's quarters where Laura is talking to Sunny, and kind of telling, like, they're essentially gossiping about Jerome.
Laura seems like bad news to me.
Do you think so?
Oh, yeah. I think Laura seems a little vicious. My radars are going up with her.
There's an aspect of that I feel like it like her and Jeremy are gonna get along just fine, though. I think that there's an aspect of his energy that is going to play into just fine.
Okay.
I don't know if that's actually true, but like just based on the interactions that I've seen Jeremy have with the other guys in previous episodes, he strikes me as somebody who's like, I don't know. I think they're gonna work out. I have this. I mean, here's the way I'm thinking about it is I think they're gonna work out, and we're probably not gonna like the way they act around each other.
Could be. I think they're not going to work out.
Okay.
But I think the pressure to go through with the marriage is pretty intense. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're talking about, they meet up and they talk about sleep apnea, and they talk about celebrating Christmas, and they seem to have some, connections there with each other, and they're having similar mental images, even though at first I thought that Laura was kind of like, she's like, I don't really celebrate very much, and then she got really excited about the way he described celebrating things, a little arm dance she's doing. Pajama vibes, mimosa vibes that he's talking about, vibing out.
I do think I see them as more compatible than I see him with Sarah Ann,
Right.
his other potential partner. Um, he seems to at least have fun with Laura, and I think that the flame with Sarah Ann feels like it's kind of fading a little bit, although she drops that she's like a influencer, which I think piques his interest.
Do you think that piques his interest?
Totally.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought he kind of went in the opposite direction with all the, talk about lip fillers and Botox. I thought that he kind of went like, I don't know if this is the kind of person I'm looking for, but maybe I'm getting a different read on his energy.
I think when it was just fillers, yes, he was sort of like, ooh. But when it became she's an influencer, I think it changed. And I think, maybe controversial opinion here, I think it's because from that he assumes she's probably hot.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was like, all right, you're back in the game,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's just my read on it.
Yeah.
Fans, listeners, let us know what you think.
Yeah. Also, this is the two of them talking, I think, was maybe one of the first times I've noticed explicit discussions of, like, are you conservative or liberal? Like, what are your politics like? I don't know if I've seen that before in Love is Blind. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think maybe most of the time people are, like, maybe inferring it or, like, talking about, like, around it. But this is, like, kind of like a more explicit discussion around abortion, which...
Well, that was Nancy and Bartise had that big. I might like Bartise less than I liked Uche, so I'm happy to not revisit that conversation, especially his views on that. But anyway, who's less awful?
Jeremy
Chalamet and Sarah Ann. Yeah. His love triangle with these two, it just seems like it's starting to cook. So I think we'll probably get a little bit more, but right now it's just a little exhibition of, hey, this is going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most that we get from my perspective of him getting close to Sarah Ann is the fact that he wants to take her to his father's grave. Yeah. But that's, yeah.
But
anyway, back in the men's rooms, we're seeing Ken kind of talking about his connection, and we literally go into the next scene, having seen very little of these two together to marriage.
Yep.
So Ken and Brittany are engaged. Well, not married, engaged. They are right.
Yeah.
They're moving right along. I think that of all of the couples that we've seen the least of them. Maybe? Am I right on that?
I don't know.
It just feels like the quickest from we're seeing your relationship develop to we're engaged.
Yeah, it does feel quick, but first of all, I don't for sure know if that's true or not, but it could be. But I also think they're both teachers. They both have that similar background. They both want to wait until marriage. Like that, it's like 100% aligned. So I can understand why it would be quicker for that. Because I think a lot of it is like, oh, cool, you're like me. Great. Let's do this.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a nice engagement. I guess we'll probably see their meeting
in the next
episode, which I hope it goes well. But then from then we transition over
to Jimmy and Jessica, right? Where we are introduced, at least I don't think I've seen this before, the bottles of wine that say "Love is Wine" on them.
I know. We were pretty into that.
Also, eagle-eyed viewers might notice that the Love is Wine is served next to a plate of what appears to be tomato mush.
Tomato mush, or I was like, what is that, ground beef?
It's just a pile of mush.
I think in theory it's pasta. I feel like in other scenes we see it be pasta, but right now it's
It's
pretty rough.
all of the contestants on Love is Blind are just fed a nutrient paste.
Yeah. Soylent.
All of the contestants that
Yeah.
don't make it.
I know everybody else had like sushi, like cool stuff. So on his side, he does have pasta. She doesn't
Okay.
have pasta.
Okay, I'm now seeing that. So there are two separate shots. One of them is of just a plate with the sauce on it, and then there's another shot of him with the
Yeah.
Love is Wine where he has a bowl of pasta next to his sauce.
But man, this is like the lamest of the meals, right? I think because it doesn't even look like good pasta. It looks like someone really threw it together. Compared to the sushi or that salad with the like look like a Asian salad or something because it looks like it had little wontons. Anyway,
Okay.
is this like when I was obsessed with the clear shoes
Yes.
last season?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now I'm getting a different cut where I'm seeing Jessica with just a bowl of pasta and no sauce. I mean, this is guys. We're really
Come on.
We're looking at
They
the things
go
that
together.
matter.
You need sauce and you need pasta.
We're seeing the
All
things
right?
that matter, and we're commenting
Yeah.
on them.
I mean, what other after show podcast is going to give you the scoop on the pasta and the sauce? All right. Yeah.
You were wondering.
Y'all should follow Sweden's lead and put us at the top of your charts. Hey, Sweden.
Hi, Sweden.
Hi. Hello.
So we're seeing Jessica and Jimmy talking, and I get a very interesting sense where he starts to crack his knuckles, and then she's like, "Are you cracking your knuckles?" And he's like, "Yes, I was doing it to test you." And I'm like, "I don't think you were doing it to test her. I think you were just absentmindedly cracking your knuckles, and you've just found out a thing that annoys her, because she does not seem happy about it." And yeah. There's an aspect of that I'm like, I do wonder whether things like that. I mean, those are the little things that bother people about each other sometimes. But yeah, what did you think about their conversation about Instagram followers?
Yeah, here's the thing.
Streak of jealousy?
I think a lot of women feel like she feels, and uncontroversial opinion, or a controversial opinion probably, I think we should expect that our partners will be
Looking
drawn
at
to that.
Instagram models?
I mean like I personally think, oh man, I feel like I'm putting myself out here for the wolves. I personally think it is unrealistic to expect our partners to just magically never find themselves attracted to anybody else again simply because we're with them. I think the act of love is to be respectful and about that, right? So I mean, if he's like gratuitously just like scrolling the gram all the time, that's not cool. But like if he happens to see another person that he thinks is attractive, I love the Dan Savage podcast, and he always references like that there was this, oh man, all right, I'm just really going for it. There was a study that was done where it wanted to compare like some trait amongst men who watched porn and then compared to men who didn't. And the study couldn't be completed because they couldn't find enough men who didn't. And so that's like, I think we could get a little bit more woke as a culture when it comes to that kind of thing. And I'm going to let you talk now.
What I was really more just talking about is the fact that the idea of wondering about who on Instagram he follows, to me reveals maybe an aspect of jealousy in her.
She's very insecure. Yeah.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
she has such extreme abandonment drama.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that, I think that the idea of somebody kind of like having an Instagram account where all they follow is models is very, very different. I
Yeah.
get that. But from her perspective, I do wonder whether it was the fact that she wanted to bring this up is something that she's concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we heard her backstory. That she seems like she's like a really cool person, and also you do not go through something like that without it leaving a very big impact. I don't know how much she's gone to therapy, but that's a big deal to go through what she's gone through, and she's got some, wounding about being abandoned, and so I think that probably makes her sensitive. Again, could you feel sensitive to that without having gone through that? Of course you could, but there's just these ways. I think I even mentioned before, I sense like a deep insecurity about her, and when I heard her backstory, I was like, there we go. You know? So it's between her, though. She basically puts it out on the table that she is like 100% here for him. And I think he is like, I'm sort of like that, but let me go talk to Megan Fox with their connection. And he's like trying to decide. I think we talked about it last time that like he has connections with both of them, but the Chelsea connection, it feels a lot less complicated to him, I think, and I get why that would be very appealing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, let's say that he and Chelsea end up getting together, I wonder if they don't work out, which I kind of don't think they would work out if they got together. It's one of those things where, at the reunion, we find out he tried things with Jessica, because maybe he just needs a little bit of time to adjust to what's up for her.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of seems like we're leaning towards Trevor getting together with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because
they seem to have better
chemistry. And then I think, I don't know whether it's going to be by choice or by the fact that Chelsea is going to say yes to Trevor, that Jimmy's ultimately going to go with Jessica.
Yeah.
Which may set up some drama later on, because it does feel a little bit like Jimmy has gotten pretty close with both.
And she seems to like both.
Yeah.
I could see it. From her perspective, I could see it going either way. From Jimmy's perspective, I think he's going to go Chelsea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You think he's going to go Chelsea?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think last episode I thought so too. For some reason in this episode, it felt more to me that he was leaning more Jessica. And it is maybe because they were talking so much about like their other connections during their date. Like they're talking about, like him liking Jessica and her liking Trevor as well. It seems like their conversation kind of gets a little bit serious regarding that. And I don't necessarily know whether that affects whether it almost feels a little bit like they maybe are, they're maybe starting to, like, because of this conversation, be like, oh, okay, maybe I will just kind of lean towards the other person. But that's maybe more of a vibe that I get.
Well, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yeah. But I think we go from her date with him to, is it the Trevor date next?
I think so. I'm realizing the conversation between Chelsea and Jimmy goes on for it's a long conversation.
Yeah.
This is a little
Bentley's being cute.
This is a little inside scoop. We scroll through the episode while we're talking to you guys, just so that we can be reminded of the things that we had just seen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
as a result, you get a lot of commentary on pasta and sauce.
Yeah, but
you're welcome.
But it is also, like, as it's making me realize, like, oh, they met for like
they're talking a long time. We're having to scroll. That's why you guys are getting all these Bentley updates. No, that's not true. You're getting them updates because Bentley's adorable.
Yes, Bentley the cat is just rolling around on the couch and
showing
his
really belly.
Cute. Yes.
Oh, he must feel so safe with us because we're good people who deserve 5-star reviews.
Bentley gave us a 5-star.
Bentley's
review.
giving us Bentley's giving us
On all
a
platforms.
1,000-star review.
So yeah, we then see Trevor and Chelsea, and Trevor is essentially saying, "I've stopped dating everyone
Yes.
except you. I only have one date today, and it's you. I had one date yesterday, and I didn't want it to be with that person. I just wanted to date you."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Chelsea doesn't really know what to do with that information, especially when he drops that he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether she was expecting that today
Mm-hmm.
on their date.
But she likes it.
Yeah.
She goes back to the room and is like, the ladies' lounge, and is like, "Oh, he said that people are usually not nice to me, and he's
yeah.
really nice to me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're the couple between the arrangements that we're seeing. I think, I would root more for Chelsea and Trevor than Jimmy and Chelsea.
Yeah, I think they have better potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as a result of that, Jimmy's going to end up with Jessica. Yeah.
You know, you never know, because it's got to be such a mind trip in there. I mean, look at Zach and Irina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we get a lot more information than they do in some ways, and they have different information than we do. We've so far just seen her have good connections with 2 people.
Right.
I think we like Trevor more for her because he just seems so purely into her.
Right.
But I don't necessarily know that she feels like she's connecting with him more than Jimmy. I mean, that her date with Jimmy was, they got a little bit deeper, and I think it was really nice. So
Yeah. And the episode ends with Jessica kind of off to the side, drinking her wine, watching Chelsea from the side, kind of being like, I don't know who to choose between Jimmy and Trevor. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Jessica's thinking, just pick Trevor.
yeah, maybe Jessica decides to get lost. Who knows?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
possible.
Maybe Jessica doesn't like that she told Jimmy he was her top dog, and it's not the same. Who knows? Who knows? But we will find out.
We will find out in the next episode.
And y'all will find out along with us when we do our episode 4
Yeah.
recap, debrief, analysis.
Right.
In the meantime, again, subscribe, like us.
Please like us.
Yep. Sponsor us, and wish us luck with returning little baby Bentley.
Yeah. Wish us luck returning the cat to his rightful owners. Is that you, Bentley? No, it wasn't. That was Allie. That was Allie.
That's Andre.
Okay.
Now it's just 15 minutes of us making
Okay,
cat
guys.
noises.
We're going to leave it there. And we're just going to fade.
If you want more cat noises, we could drop a special bonus app,
Yeah.
but I do not expect to get feedback like that.
Okay. We're just gonna fade out to cat noises. All right. See y'all, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
Oh, Bentley's looking at us. Okay.